Well, hi everybody, I'm going to catch you up with this year's Maver Mega Match, this campaign. When you fish these big match qualifiers, you know what it's like. Sometimes you get a rub, sometimes you don't. There are often a lot of anglers on them, so there can be some crappy bits, and there can be some good bits as well. So you have to take the rough with the smooth a little bit, which is what I try to do. There's a big prize at the end of it all, so you can't. You have to sort of have a bit of a trade-off. If you want brilliant fishing, then go on small matches on lakes with lots of space. If you want a chance of the big money, you have to take a little bit of a rougher draw and go like that. That's the way it is. So, sort of sucked it up at the start of the year, booked myself on for a few. I've really enjoyed it at times, and I've been really sort of disheartened by others, to be honest. So you've got to be, like I say, a bit philosophical. Started well, went to Lindome, had some nice results at Lindome this year, qualified for Fishing Mania there. I was second in a golden reel there. And I fished a match this, the first one I fished of the year. I had a nice day's fishing. I caught with maggots across, I caught some fish on casters down the middle, kept chopping and changing. I had loads of skimmers and eyed and small F1s and a few big F1s and 2 carp right at the death. Gave me £111. Unfortunately, it was only good enough for second again, and John Allerton won the match with £137. It was great though. I enjoyed my day's fishing. Didn't feel I could beat John. One of those things. Decent result. Move on to the next. Now, next couple of qualifiers were at Decoy. I absolutely love Decoy. I think Decoy is a brilliant, brilliant fishery. And I sort of made the fatal mistake of thinking, well, if you go to Decoy, you definitely get a day's fishing. Unfortunately, the 2 qualifiers at Decoy, they were so unlucky. Recently, we had that sort of month's worth of rain in a day. That was the day before and during Decoy. It rained all day. The other one, it rained heavy all the way through the day the previous day. The wind swung round on the day to easterlies. And it had been fishing brilliantly for weeks. And it fished terrible. I drew oak, peg 5, caught about £40. Half a dozen carp. It was really poor. The match was on for £120, which is a really, really low weight for Decoy. And then on the next one, I drew peg 6 on 6 islands. Again, a lake that had been won with £200 or £250 a week before. A couple of other 200s. Really thought I might have had a chance of a day's fishing, but all that rain wiped it. £120 won the lake. One of the other lakes threw up a 230. I weighed £55 for a section win, and that was about it. Did enjoy it towards the end of the day, but to be honest, the whole middle of the day was pretty boring. Had 2 or 3 bites. So unusual for Decoy, and they were really, really unlucky. You can still see this great because there was still quite a few fish caught, but a lot of areas that were really hard and more people tipping back than normally would. So that was disappointing. I went to Hayfield. Again, Hayfield, probably, you know, I always say if I could have a dream complex, I'd go to Hayfield. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a lovely place. The fish are great, you know, in terms of the species. Big carp, good looking fish. They're pretty, and you just get a buzz when you're there. The problem is, again, there's not a lot of space on these matches. There was 130 across the 3 lakes, and it was really tight. I drew about peg 4 or 5, something like that, and it was really poor. I had 5 carp, I believe, which is not many bites in 5 hours, as you know. And I couldn't win my section because the end peg had caught about a dozen, you know, and caught some fish, so I was never going to beat them. So it was a bit, you know, I was starting to get a little bit disheartened by this point because I've had 3 matches where I've not really caught a great deal, and really through no fault of my own. You know, I've done everything I know that does work for catching fish. I've tried, I've prepared well. It just hasn't happened, and you know, and actually I've won a section in there by really not catching a great deal. I went to Barston. I know Nigel was a little bit disappointed that there was 120 on it. He had asked for a few less, and it proved I drew peg 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. was in the bag. I had 6 fish in my first 7 casts after about 50 minutes, and I thought, this is alright, I'm going to get a day's fishing here. Of course, being every peg, tight in against the bank, never had a bite for the rest of the match. Young Adam Southgate next to me had a skimmer and a small carp, and the chap on my right had very little as well. And you could just tell that we were in a completely bad area. Dan Hull fished a great match on the bridge, chucking 85 metres to win my section with £90. Never going to catch that in a million years where we were. So, again, that was a disappointment. But I walked around that day and I saw some fantastic fishing at Barston. It's a venue that really excites me at the moment because there's a lot of big carp in there. They're feeding well. There's loads of skimmers if you're not on the carp. You get a day's fishing at Barston. I think out of 120 pegs, at least 90 people had a day's fishing, which I think is a fantastic return on such a highly pegged match. That moved on to the final one, which was at the Glebe. Surely my luck was about to change. I'd had these 4 Duffy ones and a good one at the start. And at the Glebe, I've now been to the Glebe 4 times for a match this, and for the 4th time running I drew Foundation Lake, which those that know the Glebe will know you're never ever going to compete off the foundation, which is disappointing. I had 11 carp for £38. Couldn't even sneak a section. Andrew Crocker was next to me and he's had 9 carp, including a couple of big dobbers, and just pipped me for the section. We had a bit of a laugh there, to be honest, but Mikey Williams, who's a great guy and a great angler, won the match with £194 on Lake 1. Obviously, like I say, a million miles away from our lake, but still a brilliant performance from him there. And I was really pleased to see him make the final. I think he's a really top lad, so well done, Mikey. So it's been really interesting. I think the lineup for the final this year is really, really good, really strong. Some of the best anglers in the country are in that final, and it's going to take a hell of a performance to win it. But if you get the chance, I would go to Hayfield for that final. I went last year, really enjoyed watching it, thought it was absolutely fantastic. A lot of fish caught, and I think if you go there this year, you'll be in for a real treat because there is some brilliant anglers fishing. So get yourself there if you can, and check it out. Just before I go this week on the vlog, I want to talk to you a little bit about Barston because it's got a form of fishing that I think is really popular at the moment. This distance fishing for decent carp on a feeder. I think there's a lot to learn with it. I think there's a lot still to be found out about it, but I think that we are catching a lot of fish. And people have asked me about my setup recently. Quite a lot of people actually talking about the casting and what have you. I do think it plays an important part, and having the right gear and having the right setup is important. I've got one of the Dura method feeders here. Just hold it up to the camera for you. Okay, that's a medium feeder, and there's a long stem, and I think that's really important when you're casting long distances. Okay, you want that stem there for control. That's the long stem version. That really does work well. That's 45 grams, and you can load that up and they cast really, really well. So that's something that I really like. You can also get these longer stems elasticated if you're into that. I'm actually quite happy at the moment fishing non-elasticated. I feel like I can really control these bigger fish close to my feet. Personally, I'm happy with that. I've tried the elastic. I think it's good as well. Sometimes I can understand why you might want that, but for me, I'm really liking that setup at the moment. On the hook, I've been using the semi-buoyant Bandams. I do like the red ones, the dark ones. I seem to catch some decent fish on that. The krill ones in a sort of pinky colour, they're really nice as well. They're the two I sort of look for, a darker or a lighter colour. Pick which one works best on the day. You'll be surprised. A lot of people are into bright baits at the moment, but trust me, there's some fish to be caught on these darker ones as well. You can see there, all right. So absolutely great. So, just dropped my method feeder. So if you're doing that sort of fishing, another few things to consider is proper tackle. I actually wound in some carp gear attached to my line the other day. Wow, those boys fish some scary lines and hooks, and they catch plenty of fish. I was fishing with really, really big hooks. I use a 12 or even a 10, the PR38s. and I use 019 or 021 power line as my hook length. The new sinking feeder mono, if I'm casting a long way, I'll use £5 020 as my main line with a £10 028 shock leader, so I can really hit it hard if I need to cast that 80 metres. There's not many pegs on Baston you need to cast that far. So the rest of it, I tend to just use 023, £6 straight through. I can cast that very comfortably, sort of 60 metres with a 12-8, say Dutch Master or something like that. Maybe a 13-2 Dutch Master if I was really going for it. But that's the gear that you need. If you fancy going or getting into stuff like that, make sure you've got the gear. Years ago when I first went to Baston, I never had the gear for it, and it does cost you in the end. So make sure you use that, and that will help you, all right? So anyway, that's caught you up on what's going on. What have I got coming up? Division 1 National this weekend. Really looking forward to that. Hopefully catch a few fish, and we'll go from there. I'll catch you up with a blog. And I've also got the Maver Pole Champs at Hayfield on Sunday. So I've got 2 big matches this weekend. Plenty to talk about next week. Tune in next week, and I'll catch you up. Don't forget, like, comment, share. Tell me what you think. Tell me what's going on, and we'll always get a response or try and engage with you guys, because I know that it's great, and it really helps with the popularity of the blog, which I really do appreciate. So thank you very much, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye.